My full name is Joseph Kennedy. I was born on the 28th of January 1932 at a maternity home in Balliol Road, Bootle. Yes, I grew up in Bootle for the first 27 years of my life, apart from 2 spells of evacuation during the war and 2 years national service.
Whereabouts in Bootle did you live? Just out of interest?
It was Norton Street off Knowsley Road, not very far from Seaforth docks, and so of course we got a bit of a battering during the war. I went to St James School.
Yeah.
It's interesting that during the war, when St John's Peel Road was bombed, they split the classes we were in. So we were mornings one week. Yeah, happened during the war. Now I was 7 at the time, but it was September 1939, and there was an en masse evacuation because we were expecting to be bombed from the word go. So we were evacuated to Southport. I suppose that the theory was that it wasn't a military target, so perhaps it wouldn't be bombed. And I was at the age of 7. I was separated from my family, and I was billeted with a family that lived in Guildford Road, I think it was, Birkdale. Yeah, they had 1 son, but they were a very nice family, and I can't remember their names. But I remember the lady of the house because her birthday was the same day as mine. So we were there. Now my mother with the younger children were billeted elsewhere in the area, so we didn't lose contact completely.
They were still Southport.
But it was at the age of 7 being taken from your family and put with a totally strange family, and you had to get on with it. But I was very lucky on both occasions, because they treated me very well indeed. And there were, especially when in Muchwenlock, on the second round of evacuation, there were instances where the children were billeted at farms and they were treated as extra labourers.
Yeah, that's right.
And having to work before they went to school and having to work when they got home again.
Yeah. And
in fact, we'll probably come to it later, but in Muchwenlock it got so bad, they actually commandeered a large empty house in the town itself and brought in quite a number of children from the outlying places and made it a sort of hostel for them as well, because they just couldn't leave them there the way they were being treated.
Yeah.
But still, that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But come Christmas 1939, there had been no action at all. So the vast majority of the evacuees went home, and we went home as well. And we went back to St James, and until 1941, May 1941.
Yeah.
My memories of Wenlock are quite vivid. We helped out with the harvest, and that was very interesting. You had the harvesters going around, and they went around in circles towards the end. So you just had a bit in the middle, and then they had a troop of farmers and land workers would appear with shotguns, and all sort of line up on one side. And as the harvester went round, and it got smaller and smaller and smaller, all the rabbits started shooting out, and so all the rabbits were being shot. So everyone was given a rabbit to go home with. Yeah. But we also used to take the food out to the workers in the field. So anyway, we sort of came back to a rather blitz Bootle. But the memories of the air raids are very vivid.
Yeah, that was
because we had an Anderson shelter in the backyard.
Yeah.
But at one time, must be early on, that we were. My father got 4 dining room chairs and put them together, put cushions on them, and then we small ones slept there, because it was straight out of there through the back kitchen into the backyard and down the yard. And I remember walking up Marsh Lane after one of the blitzes, and the tram tracks had been hit, and they were curled up, curled up like that, and there was water leaking out everywhere, and there were areas that were roped off, and there were people, firemen and so on, working on the rubble. So obviously they were seeing if anyone else was trapped inside there. Yeah. And also other areas wrote up with unexploded bomb. Sure, yeah. And you had home guard type people that keeping you off. But the area on either side of Rimrose Road was very bad hit. It was devastated.
Yeah.
And the far end of Peel Road, St John's School and Church were hit. And also the streets going up to Marsh Lane, up Primrose Road going to Marsh Lane. And one of them was the paint factory. And when we went to watch it burn, if we went up our street at the back entry and into Moore Street, the next street, the very next street going up just on the corner, and had a direct hit. And it's just a whole of rubble and a deep conical type hole. And at the very bottom of that hole was a pram, you know. So, you know, what happened there? The house was gone. You had this very deep conical hole and just a pram at the bottom of it. So, you know, we never did hear, you know, what had happened to whoever was in the house, if people were in it.
Did you actually feel in danger while that was going on, or
yes.
was it just a part of?
No, the whole time of the raids. You could tell when the German bombers were there, because their planes had diesel engines, and the diesel engines throb, like bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Whereas the British planes had petrol engines. It had a nice smooth drone. Yeah. So we would always tell when the bombers were on the way. And the sound of the bombs coming down is quite frightening, because you hear them coming down. And then there's just a fraction of a second silence, and then you get the explosion. Right. Now, when they opened in Manchester, the Imperial War Museum there, and over the sound effects, they gave you the impression of an air raid. And to me, it didn't sound right, because it was wee boom. Yeah. When you're listening, when you're underneath it, it's wee, and then the boom. And that is the most frightening part of all. Yeah. Because sometimes the whistling of the bombs is very loud indeed, and the shelter shook several times. And we did get an incendiary bomb which bounced from the roof, bounced off there over the air raid shelter, bounced onto the stone roof of the outside toilets, and flipped over into the entry at the back. Oh, right. And in the morning when we got the entry, it was all white. And my dad was saying, "Don't touch it. Yeah. It's phosphorus. Don't touch it." So it was close to that. We had the windows blown out twice, actually. Yeah. Well, once in December and once again during the May Blitz. Yeah. So our street was not hit, but we had Little Norton Street. There was a street with the same name just across the main road. They had two houses hit. Yeah. It was close to that. But we were on the flight path to Gladstone Dock, so they came in across, and the middle of most of the streets, in between the railway embankment off Notary Road and Salisbury Road, you had Chestnut Grove, and then you had the embankment. The middle of most of those streets had some houses bombed. It was excitement, but the raids were frightening, absolutely frightening, you know. Because you just did not know, and of course, being so close to the docks and on the flight path of the bombers coming in, a lot of them came from Norway apparently. Oh, right. Yes, because it was further north. They'd come down, and then they would carry straight on and land in France or something like that. Right, so anyway, it was exciting times, and they were the frightening times, and you could feel your blood curdling more or less when the sirens went off. That eerie up and down side of the siren, and then the golden sound of the all clear. It's the lovely straight sound, a bit like the German bombers, bum 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 bum, for the siren, and the British bombers nice and smooth. The all clear sign, nice and smooth.